Welcome to Inspire Info Power Hub by Mr. Waititu Sir. Kindly like, comment, and subscribe. Welcome. In this video, we shall learn about kingdom Animalia, Phylum Arthropoda. And by the end of it, you should be able to explain the observable characteristics of members in this phylum and identify organisms using those characteristics. In classification, living organisms are placed in 5 kingdoms. Do you know the 5 kingdoms? If you do, let's highlight them together. Kingdom Animalia, Kingdom Plantae, Kingdom Fungi, Kingdom Protoctista, and Kingdom Monera. Having identified the kingdoms used in classifying living organisms, we shall then study features that are used in placing them in their respective kingdoms. I will display some photographs of organisms and you will identify those observable characteristics. Observe the organisms keenly based on observable characteristics. We can conclude that they are animals, thus belong to Kingdom Animalia. Kingdom Animalia is further divided into several phyla. Which phyla do you know? Let's mention a few. Phylum Arthropoda, Phylum Chordata, Phylum Mollusca, Phylum Porifera, Phylum Annelida, and Phylum Platyhelminthes, among others. We shall now pick on one which is our point of interest, and that is Phylum Arthropoda. Study the organisms displayed which belong to Phylum Arthropoda. Which observable characteristics can you use to place them in these phyla? We shall consider these characteristics one at a time. Identify the organism in the photograph. What is the structure of the part labeled B? What is the name given to the process of shedding structure B? The organism in the photograph is a millipede. The structure labeled B is an exoskeleton, and the process of shedding structure B is known as molting. Which brings us to the first characteristic of arthropods. Arthropods have bodies which are covered with a hard exoskeleton that is made of chitin. Let's observe the next organism. The reference point is the parts labeled A. What is the name of the parts? They are jointed appendages. They are jointed appendages because they have joints along their length. Which brings us to the second characteristics of arthropods, that members of Arthropoda have jointed appendages. Let's look at another organism. This organism is known as a centipede. Along its length, a centipede has many parts which are similar. What is the name of these parts? These parts are known as segments, which brings us to the third characteristic of arthropods, and that is arthropods have segmented bodies. The fourth characteristic is anatomical, thus not observable, which is arthropods have an open circulatory system. Then we look at the organisms here. If you were to cut the organisms along their length, how many equal parts would you get? The answer is 2, which brings us to the fifth characteristic of arthropods, that they are bilaterally symmetrical. Let's summarize what we have learned in this video. Point number 1, their bodies are covered with a hard exoskeleton made of chitin. Point number 2, they have jointed appendages. Point number 3, they have segmented bodies. Number 4, they have an open circulatory system. And lastly, they are bilaterally symmetrical. There's some work to do. Identify observable features in the arthropods that I will display shortly that places them in phylum Arthropoda. Thanks for watching.